Now, the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday defeated the New England Patriots 35 to 29. This was a really entertaining game, man. Like, at one point, you thought that New England late in the game was going to be able to get the win, and then you had the Trayvon Diggs interception, and then the play after that, New England came right back at Trayvon Diggs and scored a touchdown. Like, we went to overtime. Then you see Dak Prescott throw the game-winning touchdown pass. Like, this was one of the more entertaining games of the season. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, this has been one of the most memorable seasons in football history, in my opinion. Not just in the NFL, but in college football also. Like, there have been so many great games this year in college football and in the NFL. Now, when you look at Dallas currently is one of the best teams in the NFL. And you have some people who are asking the question, are the Dallas Cowboys legitimate Super Bowl contenders? Now, most of the people who you ask that question to on the street are probably going to say no. And you ask them, okay, if you don't believe that the Dallas Cowboys are not Super Bowl contenders, why is it? They're probably going to tell you, oh, because it's the Cowboys. The Cowboys always fold when it matters the most and things like that. Let me tell you guys something. I think that it is incredibly stupid to judge a team based on what they've done in the past. Okay, like, for example, the Arizona Cardinals. Before the season began, how many of you guys would have thought that Arizona would be 6-0 at this point of the year? I'm pretty sure nobody thought that. I'm pretty sure even Arizona Cardinals fans didn't feel they were going to be this good. So you can't really build your opinion based on what a team has done in the past. In sports, you never get the same team twice. Just because a team was good last year doesn't mean they're going to be good this year. Just because a team was bad last year doesn't mean that team is going to be good this year. So everybody has to stop judging teams based on what they've done in the past, what they've done historically. And I know it's fun to poke fun at Dallas Cowboy fans saying that you guys haven't won the Super Bowl in years. You know, you still have to rewatch your Super Bowls and VHS tapes and things like that. But we have to be realistic. And I've been telling people this dating back to last offseason that the Dallas Cowboys, if they have the right coaching staff, this team definitely is one of the most talented teams in the NFL. I've been chirping just for over the last 2-3 years. The problem is the coaching and the performance from the players isn't always there. Well, this season, it's here. Mike McCarthy, after being heavily scrutinized after the loss to Tampa Bay, this Dallas Cowboys team has played really well. Kellen Moore has called a really great offense this year with the help of Dak Prescott returning from his injury. And Dak Prescott has elevated himself, in my opinion, to, a elite quarterback, at least based on what I've seen this year. And for those of you guys who don't want to change your opinion about Dak Prescott being elite and whatnot, you got to look at what Dak Prescott is doing against New England. 36 of 51, 445 pass yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. And I used to be amongst the people who didn't believe that Dak Prescott was an elite quarterback. I thought he was a very good quarterback, but I never thought he was an elite quarterback until now. And the reason for that was because in the past, if Dallas was winning games, it was because of Ezekiel Elliott. Well, when Dak Prescott went down with that season-ending injury last year in 2020, and Ezekiel Elliott had to carry the load, he couldn't really do it. Now Dak Prescott is back. And now Ezekiel Elliott has had a resurrection, basically. He's had a bounce back year. So I definitely feel like now that Dak Prescott, in my opinion, has ascended himself into that elite quarterback conversation. I know there's people who have different criteria for what's a elite quarterback, what's not an elite quarterback, what's a good quarterback. But regardless, to say Dak Prescott has played like a top 10, top 5 quarterback this season. He's been playing really good, and also he's been really good in big moments for this Dallas Cowboys team. And also you look at Kellen Moore. Don't be surprised if you start seeing Kellen Moore's name float around for some of these head coaching vacancies that are going to come up later in the year. Rather that be, college football or in the NFL, Kellen Moore is definitely going to get some interviews. This has been the best offense in the league this year. Statistically, they're number 1 in points per game, number 1 in yards per game. They have one of the top 5 best third down offenses. They're number 1 in yards per play. They're also one of the best rushing football teams in the league. And you got to remember, last year, Dallas rushing attack wasn't really all that great. So you look at how good this Dallas offense has been under Kellen Moore. You have to give him a lot of kudos for that. And also the defense. The defense still isn't really all that great, but it's definitely a step up from what it was last year. Last year, this defense couldn't stop anybody. They couldn't stop the run. They couldn't stop the pass. They couldn't get off the field on third down. And Dan Quinn, year 1 as a defensive coordinator, the former head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, has came to the Big D. And this defense has, improved, especially when it comes to being able to take the ball away. And we have seen the emergence of Trayvon Diggs, who is having an all-pro season. There's been a lot of, negativity concerning Trayvon Diggs. Like, there was some stat that went viral on Twitter that said, even though Trayvon Diggs currently leads the lead in interceptions, he also gives up a lot of yards. And I understand that. I understand the criticisms that people have. It really depends on what kind of corner you like, because Trayvon Diggs is a really aggressive cornerback. He likes to jump on top of routes per se, but you can get aggressive corners if you hit him with double moves. And that ended up biting Dallas in the rear end, or biting Trayvon Diggs in the rear end, because after he got that interception against Mac Jones, next drive, they came out, went right at him, and he gave up a touchdown. And it wasn't really his fault, really. The safety was supposed to help over the top. Didn't really do him no justice. But a lot of people are going to blame that on Trayvon Diggs. But really, me personally, I want a cornerback like Trayvon Diggs. I'd rather have a cornerback that gives up a couple of yards, a lot of yards, and gets burnt occasionally. But I also want somebody who can give me the football back to my offense. So for Trayvon Diggs, I don't have any problem with his playing style. A lot of people keep calling him overrated, but he's just a super aggressive corner, and there's nothing wrong with that. He's going to give up some yards here and there. He may give up a touchdown here and there, but he's getting the football back, and he's had an interception in pretty much every single game so far this season for the Dallas Cowboys, and that's really impressive. So I don't really care about all the stats that people can bring up when it comes to Trayvon Diggs. To me, Trayvon Diggs has been the best cornerback in the NFL this season. There's more to being a great cornerback than just being a shutdown corner. You also want a corner who can give you the football back to your offense, and that's what Trayvon Diggs does. So I'd rather have a super aggressive corner that may get beat from time to time, may give up some big plays, but also gives me the ball back and forces turnovers. That's what Trayvon Diggs is. This guy is aggressive, and he's really good when it comes to anticipating and jumping on routes. You guys got to remember that Trayvon Diggs was a former wide receiver when he came to Alabama, and ended up converting him into corner. And he still had a little bit ways to go. He got by with a lot of things because of his pure athleticism. This year, last year, his rookie season was probably the best rookie season that any rookie cornerback had last year. If they had a redraft of the following draft class that Trayvon Diggs was drafted in, he probably would be the first cornerback taken off the board. And this year, he's improved tremendously because now he's playing like an all-pro corner. So I don't have no problem with his playing style. I don't care if he's super aggressive, if he is liable to get beat on double moves from time to time. I still think that he's phenomenal. He's a big big part of why this Dallas defense has played the way it has so far. You know, it hasn't played great, but this is definitely a defense that is better this season compared to where it was last year. And when it comes to Dallas Cowboys being in Super Bowl conversation, like, you definitely have to say that. And I'm comfortable with saying that. And I said that before the season, that if Dallas and Mike McCarthy can figure things out and they can, you know, play up to the level of talent that they have on their roster, this is a team that can definitely not only win this division, but make a deep run in the playoffs. So if you ask me, it's no surprise that the Dallas Cowboys are being mentioned in the Super Bowl conversation, because this is one of the most talented rosters in the league from top to bottom. You know, even though they have some questions about their second cornerback spot, outside of that, this is still a really good team with a lot of talent. And I think that the Dallas Cowboys most definitely are legitimate Super Bowl contenders. You guys got to stop living by what happened 20 years ago, what the Dallas Cowboys have done the past decade, and you got to live for now. You got to live in the present. We got to stop going back to the past. We got to stop living our lives in the past, because the past at the end of the day doesn't have anything to do with what's happening on the field right now. The Dallas Cowboys, with all of their disappointing late season collapses or their disappointing seasons, isn't affecting their performance on the field, and we have to give credit where credit is due. Even though it is a lot of fun to poke fun at the Dallas Cowboys, this team has been really good this season, and I definitely consider this team to be in that Super Bowl conversation. And I even tried to tell people earlier, before the season even kicked off, that Dallas, you can't sleep on Dallas. Dallas is one of the most talented teams in the NFL, and a lot of people are like, oh, JT, you're tripping, it's the Cowboys. They're having a lot of success this season.